Today we are going to review a new lease on life, which is Season 2, Episode 15 of Tales from the Darkside, and is a great episode. We're finally back on track. Why? You know who's come to save the day. It's Mighty Mouse himself,
Here I come to save the day.
Mr. Michael McDowell, but this time he has some help, with co-writing credits going to Harvey Jacobs and Adam Jacobs. So I mentioned before that Michael McDowell is my favorite writer of Tales from the Darkside. I don't even think there's anyone that comes close. Joel Selbel's the worst. Michael McDowell's the best, and he always keeps it on a horror focus with an original story and usually some type of monster creature, which we will see at the end of this episode as well, but it's not the main focus. So our main character is Archie Fenton, and he moves into a new apartment that is in an undisclosed location, but he mentions that it's in a very nice, rich neighborhood, and this apartment he gets for $200 a month, which is a steal for this rich neighborhood. Maybe it's Beverly Hills. Maybe he's in Hollywood. He mentions the other apartments go for around $1,000 a month. This one's $200, which in today's money would be about $580 for an apartment. Still a very reasonable price. It seems like he doesn't have that much information about this apartment, but the people that help him move that work for this apartment end up dropping his microwave and mention that microwaves are actually illegal to use in this complex. They also tell him not to hang anything on the walls using nails.
What's the catch?
There's no catch.
Come on, there's gotta be. For this location, apartment rents for $1,000 a month. So when the lease says $200 a month, I figure there's a catch.
And instead just tape things to the wall, which I kind of tend to do anyways. So I'm kind of with them on that one. Though sometimes it does peel off the paint. So be careful of that. We get introduced to the owner of the apartment complex, Madame Angler, and she also is acting odd.
The rooms here at the St. George don't like to be too cramped. I'm Madame Angler. I help take care of the St. George. You help take care of the St. George. And the St. George will take care of you. Just two things, basically. That you take your trash out every night. The bottles, non-biodegradable items in the basement. And the organic garbage down the hall in the disposal.
His landlord is played by Marie Windsor, who was in a lot of film noir movies. I remember seeing her in Stanley Kubrick's 1956 movie, The Killing. She was also in Swamp Woman and The Narrow Margin. She played a lot of femme fatales. She actually describes what a femme fatale is. Usually the woman who gets the man into bed, then into trouble. Have you dated some femme fatales? Archie doesn't listen to the directions of his landlord, Madame Angler, and instead tries to nail something to a wall. And we see that the wall actually bleeds, makes a lot of groaning sounds. And instead of having light switches, you put your hand against this mesh screen that seems to really enjoy it when you give him a little pet.
The pipes in the walls. Sometimes they sing.
Archie meets his next door neighbor, Helen, and she's not as impressed with his apartment complex. In fact, she comes to him and tells him that he needs to leave. She also sounds like she's kind of high. Yeah, maybe she's just over it.
Get out of here.
I beg your pardon?
Leave. Find another apartment. Today. Right now.
They do many things to show you that this apartment complex is alive. From him putting a nail in the wall and having the wall actually bleed and groan, to him turning the lights off with this switch where he rubs it. Seems like that's like the monster's tummy. Give it a little rub. And the most important part is for him to take out his organic garbage every single day and feed it down this garbage chute. Seems like the whole apartment complex, from the walls to the doors to even the stoves, are all part of this entity. And so there really isn't a safe spot for Archie to hide. The walls have eyes and ears. The stove is listening to you. The water can turn on and off at will if you don't obey it. As what happens with Helen's apartment. She doesn't have any water. So things can be really great at the St. George, but you have to completely follow every single rule, not question anything, and feed this monster. We learn what happens when Helen, his next door neighbor, causes too much trouble and the landlord tells her lease is up.
It's late.
I thought I heard...
It was a dream.
I really like this episode. It's a very original idea, and it doesn't just have one monster, it really has a lot of them. We also see that there's Asian symbolism. The maintenance men wear these white outfits that have a Asian dragon symbol on the back of it. The landlord has a tattoo of a Chinese dragon, and When Archie goes to her room, it's decorated with Buddha statues and Chinese fans. It seems that this entity came from Asia. That's at least what they're trying to tell us. And it seems like some of the other tenants have decided to not ask very many questions and just take the low rent. So far, Archie has been a decent tenant, but he hasn't been giving enough garbage to this garbage disposal. This garbage disposal needs meat and vegetables. You have to have a balanced diet. And Archie is told to take this rotisserie chicken to the garbage, but he decides to eat it himself. Let's see how that goes.
Where's Helen?
Shouldn't you dispose of that?
How can that crazy woman waste all this food?
I think it went pretty well. I kind of act like that when I'm hangry. So we get the ending that we expect, where we finally get the reveal of the monster. And our friend Archie takes a trip down the garbage disposal chute, unwillingly. I kind of wish that he survived. I think it would have been kind of interesting to have him in this prison cell of an apartment complex that he can't really escape, and the walls closing in on him. But he just won't provide his organic garbage. And there definitely is a bit of a commentary on apartment complexes, though it looks like it's actually doing the commentary, not criticizing the landlords, but actually criticizing the people that just mess up the apartment. Trash the place, dirty the carpets, smudge up the walls. Because they're just renting, they don't really have any respect for the building itself, as opposed to something that you actually own that you would respect more.
From now on, I expect you to provide your share of organic garbage. You could have lived here forever for $200 a month and a few leftovers. These modern, selfish tenants. They have no respect for the building.
Lord, the stomach.
A New Lease on Life is going to get a solid 9 out of 10. This might be my favorite episode so far. It's between this one and Anniversary Dinner, which I also gave a 9 to. It actually is creepy, and a lot of effort was put into this one. They show many ways of this apartment complex being alive, and the scene where they kill his neighbor and throw her down that garbage disposal definitely caught me off guard, and is one that will stick in your mind. Mixed with the sarcastic social commentary that can be interpreted as being pro or anti-landlord. And as someone who lives in an apartment himself, I do notice they do send out notices every single month about people's garbage. It seems to drive them nuts. They talk about that in this episode too. People don't respect the apartment, and specifically, people don't actually take out their garbage. My complex, people just leave their garbage outside, or they put it next to the garbage can. Or you have these bins you can put it into, but then they took away the bins, but they charged us money because people were leaving their bins out overnight. You weren't supposed to leave them out overnight, but you can leave them out at night and they'll pick up the garbage. But it's a whole confusing thing. And I think they were commentating on that too. The fact that if you live in an apartment complex, you'll be talking about garbage a lot. And it drives the apartment complex crazy to deal with everyone's garbage. So this is not a garbage episode. It's a 9 out of 10, and I really, really like it. And Michael McDowell has once again saved the day and got us back on track. Place trash bins and trash outside your apartment between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's only 2 hours. On the days of service valet. Sunday through Thursday. To avoid a $25 fee. That's why I make the super awesome and base decision to just take my trash and walk like, I don't know, a couple feet to the large garbage disposal and do it myself. Because who's going to honestly leave it out for 2 hours and then remember to pick it up at 8 p.m.? Yeah, right. You ain't doing that. You're leaving the trash out all night and being charged $25. The episode was directed by John Strystick, who we will see 9 times in this series as a director. He did my other favorite episode, Anniversary Dinner. He will direct another popular 4 episodes from now, The Last Car, 2 more in Season 3, and 1 in Season 4, The Trippy Love Hungry, where we see psychedelic vegetables come alive, like a 1980s version of VeggieTales, and start talking. So he is quite a good director, and he did a good job on this episode as well. Next up is episode 16, Printer's Devil. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And check out our playlist for all episodes of Monsters, Tales from the Darkside, Cowboy Bebop, and Fear Itself in Order. Thanks.
It takes me back to times when I was a kid, waiting for the silver. You look back, you see the ghost in black. He'll tip his hat and hope your travels fail. I wasted all my money on a wishing well. He won't help you. He's only come for one thing. He wants to break you and steal your day.